for so many years, like being an attorney has been kind of like my identity, it's kind
Mm-hmm.
of like the thing that I leaned on. And I'm getting to a place where I don't want to lean, and I don't want to be only known as that. I just want to be a part of who I am. I'm so many other things than just an attorney. I'm a new mom. I'm a business owner. I'm a bonus mom. I'm involved in my church. I'm a friend. There's just so much that I do, and so I really focus on being well rounded and making sure that I'm not one of those people who their career becomes their full identity.
So we can start by you just introducing yourself, telling us kind of, what type of attorney you are, if you want to do that, or however you like to introduce yourself.
Hey, Driven Wild Black listeners. My name is Jalyn Parks, and I am an attorney servicing clients in Ohio and Georgia. I am a managing attorney at the J Parks firm. The J Parks firm is my baby. I started my firm 3 years ago after just being fed up with the corporate shenanigans, the corporate political circles, and I just took a leap and jumped out on my own. In terms of areas of practice, I focus on a couple of areas, primarily business transactions and intellectual property. I also do some personal injury matters. I'm really passionate about entrepreneurship and assisting business owners in building sustainable brands and businesses. In particular, and unapologetically, I like to focus on Black businesses. I'm just really passionate about helping people to understand how to build generational wealth and how to close the generational wealth gap. And of course, one way to do that is through entrepreneurship. So I'm really passionate about working with black business owners, about teaching them how to build their businesses, put contracts and systems in place to make sure that they're building sustainable businesses and not just side hustles. So something that I've really grown to enjoy. I feel like I've been really blessed in this journey, and I'm just really excited to be here to share my story with you guys.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming. I'm excited to hear more about your story. So, do
Absolutely.
you see yourself as driven?
Absolutely. Completely driven. And that's funny because people always tell me that I'm really like ambitious, driven, motivated. And I believe that, I think that that really comes from just that, if you haven't been poor before and you don't want to be poor no more, you're going to work extra hard to make sure that you're solidifying your now and your future for yourself and my family, inevitably. So I'm really driven, always looking for what's next. Right now I'm doing some planning and brainstorming to figure out what my next entrepreneurial venture is, because I just want more. There's always, I think there's, it's always a next level to achieve, so I'm driven to do that.
Awesome. I love it. So, what's your next? What's your more? So, you're an attorney. A lot of people, once you're an attorney, like, no, you're just an attorney. But, like, what else? What's more for you? I'm excited to hear about that.
Yeah, no, I don't. That's funny you say that, because I for so many years, like being an attorney has been kind of like my identity, it's kind
Mm-hmm.
of like the thing that I leaned on. And I'm getting to a place where I don't want to lean, and I don't want to be only known as that. I just want to be a part of who I am. I'm so many other things than just an attorney. I'm a new mom. I'm a business owner. I'm a bonus mom. I'm involved in my church. I'm a friend. There's just so much that I do, and so I really focus on being well rounded and making sure that I'm not one of those people who their career becomes their full identity. And
Okay.
so right now I'm really focusing on how do I find a couple of things. How do I really water my creativity? I am a self-proclaimed creative. I don't dress like an attorney. I don't I don't run my firm like a typical attorney, the way I think some people do. Um, And so that creative side of me is always like sitting there waiting to be watered. And that's one thing that I've been exploring recently is how do I make sure that this side of me is also nurtured?
Yeah.
And I'm toying around with a couple ideas right now, but it's coming. Just I don't want to say much, but
I got
it's
you. I got
definitely in that creative fashion space. And then also, really exploring how do I create passive income for me and my family. I don't want to. I work hard. I work so
you.
hard, and I want money to come without me having to work so hard.
Yes.
So that's one thing. That's one of my goals right now. And that's one thing that I'm exploring as well, in terms of getting additional licenses and just working with our community to also help them build passive income and wealth as well.
That's exciting. Well, I want all of that for you as well because it's necessary and you deserve it. Please have it all. That's
And
awesome. What is success to you?
that's a great question. Success to me is really setting a goal and working hard to achieve it, right? So it's not necessarily a destination. It's a journey that's always constantly being redefined. At one point, my goal was to graduate high school. At one point, it was to graduate college. Another point, it was to graduate from law school. Next point, it was to pass the bar. So, my definition of success is constantly evolving based on where I am in my life. And once I check something off my list, I feel accomplished. I feel that certain level of success. But like you said, I'm driven while Black. So the next, I'm always looking at the next, what's my next level of success? So I think it's important that as we're defining success, that we're not mired by what society says it is or what other people say success is. It's about what you define for yourself and what you're willing to do to get there.
That's awesome. So the internal definition of success and just that ultimate, I can reach my next. What's my next greatest thing?
Exactly. But you know what, Deandra, I think it's also important to, I talked about getting to the next, but it's also important to really value and appreciate your now.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't always understand that perspective and just understanding that, take the time to really sit in your success, to sit in what you've been able to achieve and be grateful and honor God in that, but also be able to attract more because of where you are in that gratefulness. So that's one key that I would like to drop.
Yes, go ahead. Let's get it. That's awesome. So, I think we often really think like just being driven. I think that's a beautiful opportunity to really talk about what that looks like to kind of sit in your success because I'm gonna be completely honest. People say that I don't do that. I'm like, yeah, on to the next thing. Great. Okay. Oh, yeah, I did it. Yeah. Next. So, but for me, it's not that I'm not grateful. I am, but I feel like, we all have a limited time here on earth. And I want to get like when I don't say I used to say, but I say when I get to heaven, I want to be like, I poured out everything you gave me. Like everything
Exactly.
you gave me, I poured out. It's down there. You can find it. So I don't want to have it in my hands. I want it to be poured out. So I'm like, no, let me get, what else can I pour out? But I think that is, it's a wonderful skill and a valuable tool to have on this path of being driven while Black to really be able to admire or to sit in the success that you have already accomplished. I think that's great.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm with you there, girl.
What are some ways that you do that?
I don't know. Okay, well, I think that it's important to celebrate yourself, right? Because oftentimes we expect for people to celebrate us, or we expect for people to plan parties or recognize your achievements or um, you know do what you inevitably should be doing for yourself, because it's, in my opinion, it's a part of just self-love, because only you know the insecurities that you've been able to overcome, what it really took for you to get to that end goal. For me, being a lawyer was a huge journey for me. I was the first person in my family to go to college. Like nobody in my family was in the professional realm in terms of like having a doctorate or, or going to law school or anything in that, professional area. And so law school was hard for me. I'll be honest. In undergrad, I was an overachiever. Things came to me pretty easy. And as you probably know too, Dr. Gordon, law school is an adjustment because you're taught to think differently, read differently. It challenges how everything that you think you already know. And so my first year was a struggle. I remember one of my professors, it was my legal writing professor. Mind you, I always took a lot of pride in my writing, and I thought you couldn't tell me nothing about my writing. Then I got to law
Right.
school. I got to law school, and I remember getting like a couple of C's and not quite understanding why. I remember going to her office hours, and I said, what can I do to be better? How can I improve? Because I'm feeling somewhat defeated. And she said to me, you should read a book. And I was like, excuse me?
Come
I should
again,
do
ma'am.
what?
What type of
Yes.
book are we talking about? I need you to, I need you to expound on that, please.
I need
What are
more,
you
sis. I
actually
need
saying?
more. But yeah, I mean, it was pretty terrible. That really, really was a blow to my confidence. Like my whole first year was a blow to my confidence. Now, once I was able to get through that and start to get A's and B's and, excel in writing and have my work published, the final achievement of law school and becoming a lawyer meant so much more because I knew and understood what I had to overcome, those insecurities, the naysayers. And so and to answer your question, what I found was that, it's important for me to not have to hear great job, or you did awesome from other people, really recognizing it in myself and looking at it as a form of self-love and nurturing.
That's awesome. So do you actually do things to celebrate? Like if you like, okay, I'll reach this goal, let me go buy a pair of shoes, or I reach this goal, let me go take myself out to eat, or what do you actually do some of that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a shopper. It's actually an outlet for me.
Okay.
It's not always like expensive shopping and maybe at the thrift store and maybe something for the house or something of that nature. Like I think if they attach my brain to some kind of machine, they can see that my serotonin levels increase. So yes, I mean, whether it's shopping, whether it's going out to my favorite sushi restaurant, whether or not it's going to get a pedicure or just having a moment to excuse me, to binge watch my favorite show. It's really about choosing what's going to make Jalyn happy in that moment and doing that unapologetically.
I have a question for you. Have you ever felt guilty about celebrating yourself?
No.
No?
Girl, I
Okay.
work hard. No, listen, no, Dr. Gordon, I work hard. And so, not necessarily feeling guilty, but, just having to remind myself, like, hey, it's okay to take a break. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's okay, for you to step away from your work for a little bit because, you need to be refilled. And me being refilled, it may not even be the things I just named, but it could just be me just spending an hour with one of my girlfriends and having that opportunity to just vent and catch up and talk about what's on our minds and get some advice. You know what I mean? Like that, in my opinion, is also self-care. I tell my significant other, he's more of an introvert, I'm more of an extrovert. So he doesn't really need people. I told him, I said, listen, I am going to be better for you if you recognize that I need my girls. Like,
Yeah.
like once a week, once a week or twice a week, like I'm going to be gone at happy hour. Like they're going to be over here and we're going to be talking and doing what we need to connect. And I really feel like a reset when I'm able to be around good people and give a little bit and get some back as well. So
That's awesome. So did that journey look like for you, being able to advocate for yourself? Because that's what it sounds like to me, like saying like, hey, if you want me to be good for you, let me tell you what's good for me. So
Well,
what?
I don't know if I don't know if I would describe it as like advocating for myself.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would call it more so me knowing myself, like over the years, getting to know myself and what I need to be my best self, and letting him know that, like, and having that safe space to be authentic. Because once if you're building relationships that you want to be long lasting, you just, I mean, I've been tired of just having to be something else. Like, hey, dude, this is who I am. I need this. I need that. This is, like, you can run now, bro. If you don't like
You
it, you can
got
run
options.
now, and we can adjust.
Right.
But I
Yeah.
mean, just really finding those authentic spaces and being able to just be yourself and be like, this is who I am. Um, you can love me or not, take it or leave
That's
it.
awesome.
And so, not necessarily advocating, but more so just being transparent.
That's awesome. That's a wonderful skill and tool to have. So that's beautiful. I'm glad you do that. But I'm gonna tell you, people call it advocating for themselves because some people don't do it. And it might be that they don't recognize what they, want for themselves, or they just don't, that's not something they were, taught to do or have that experience in saying, this is what
Absolutely.
I need. And I think even when we're talking about the legal world and legal environment, you're actually taught to run yourself to the ground in terms of like law school environment, even legal
Absolutely.
professionals, you're supposed to work all the time. Like that's like
Uh-huh.
golden legal rule number one. You don't have a life, you're a lawyer. So I think it's
No, you're
beautiful
right.
to hear about your balance and learning, how you manage relationships and take care of yourself and still show up as your authentic self. And then building a brand and business that reflects who you actually are versus what, everyone else may expect of you. So I think that is beautiful and wonderful. Congratulations.
Absolutely. Thank you, darling. I mean, I think I will say this, as you know, I'm a new mom as well. And
Mm-hmm.
so I have a 4-month-old baby. And as a new mom, I feel like I owe all of my mommy friends an apology. From when I was
How
like,
so?
single and just like on the move and not necessarily having a care in the world and having myself be the only my only primary obligation,
Mm-hmm.
and so being a working mom and being a working entrepreneur mom is
Mm-hmm.
no joke. And I'll be honest, yesterday I worked all day to prepare for a hearing, and I maybe saw my baby for 3 or 4 hours yesterday. And then today I woke up early because I had to go to court, and I was at court from 9 to 3. And I felt mom guilt. I felt mom
Mm-hmm.
guilt, and I was, I left court and went straight to get my baby. And I was just so happy to see him because I'm like, oh my God, I haven't seen him in 2 days. By the same token, I had to give myself some grace. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to succumb to the stereotype or to what these archaic views of the legal profession say I need to be. Like, no, I'm going to have balance. No, I'm not working after 6 o'clock. No, I'm not working the entire weekend.
Yeah.
And that's part of the one of the perks of entrepreneurship is being able to draw those boundaries and not have someone stand over me and demand some things. There are perks to having a 9 to 5, and there are perks to running your own business. And I'm an advocate for both, whichever one
Works for
floats
you.
your boat.
Yeah.
For me, I'm just, I'll say I'm in a season of transition, and I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying to figure out, how to nurture this amazing newborn baby and give him the
Mm-hmm.
love that he needs, because I haven't met this version of myself. I don't know who
Yeah.
Jalyn is as a mom. I've only been doing it for 4 months. And so I'm on Pinterest, I'm Googling, I'm calling on my mommy friends, I'm trying to figure it out. By the same token, I'm trying to get this money too. I'm trying to get this money. I'm trying to um, still water and nurture my brand and build a business that I can be proud of and that can yield adequate profits. And so I will say that right now I am Dr. Gordon, I am trying to figure it all out. But in the midst of that, I am definitely giving myself grace and recognizing, areas for growth, but also celebrating, the progression that I am making.
That's awesome. I think that is wonderful. Has you being a new mom, has that kind of changed your perspective on your journey to success, or your driven journey? Has that changed your perspective a little bit?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because it's not just about me anymore. You know what I mean? It's about there would be days where I would wake up and I would do work and I wouldn't take a lunch break and I would work until 2 and 3 in the morning.
Okay.
I mean, and it wasn't impacting, it wasn't, if there was
Only
something,
but you.
large going on, like the next, like
Make it
I had a
happen.
hearing today. So I need to be perfect. There's a lot of stuff that I need to, prepare for. So if, in the past that was okay,
Mm-hmm.
I can't do that now. I literally have a living, breathing human being who needs me to be there, and not to just be there, but be giving my full self, because if I'm not around, he doesn't eat. Like
Right.
honestly, like he doesn't eat. And, I want to make sure that he's getting not just the nutritional aspect of what he needs, but also what he needs from a mothering perspective, making sure that he's hitting his growth marks and developing the way he should be. And so absolutely, my definition of success, my driven path is not, it hasn't necessarily changed that much. It's just adjusted. It's
Okay.
adjusted because now I have someone who's more important than me at this point, that I care about, and that I need to make sure that he's living his best life. And so it actually is more motivating, in my
Okay.
opinion, because I am driven to give him a better life than what I had at his age. And then, I don't want him to be like me. I want him to be better than me. And
Yeah.
so all of that is going to be reflected in the work that I do now. How can I grind now, and
Mm.
and how can he reap those benefits in the future?
That's awesome. That's beautiful. I am not currently a mother, but I applaud mothers. I try to support y'all. I tell my friends when they're pregnant, I said you get one babysitting free coupon, and then they mean it. But I'll watch them more than that. But like I help my friends who is a couple, and
Uh-huh.
they have a baby, so I would try to take them at least one day a week, because I know it's challenging, especially they had the baby during the pandemic. So God bless y'all, because that's a
Uh-huh.
whole different a whole
Right.
different level, because you don't have the same amount of support. So I
Agree.
try to watch them for a few hours a week, because they're also entrepreneurs. So it's, just trying to help them balance. But I'm like, I don't know how y'all get any work done. So I have them on meetings and stuff, but I'm like, this is, I don't think this is a challenge. Lord, let me figure it out. So God
But
bless
listen,
y'all.
my support system is the bomb. And then, I have my significant other, he's an entrepreneur too. So we have literally like come up with a schedule. He works, he has to like leave the house more so in the evenings. A lot of my work
Okay.
has to be done during the day. So we wake up, we have our little process, and then he takes the baby and he goes in his corner of the house. I go in my corner of the house. We might eat lunch together. We go back, and then we come back together, and then we switch off.
That's awesome. You
Like a
got to make it
well-oiled
work.
machine. Exactly.
Yeah, you got to make it work. What would you say
Yes.
is a tool to success for you?
Oh, I think there's so many. One, I can give you two, maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that works. We'll take
Okay. So
it.
one, I definitely would lean and say that my biggest, the biggest tool, the biggest key would be my faith,
Okay.
because my relationship with God is foundational. It's tantamount to my success. Um, I am nothing without Him. It's my relationship with Him that gives me that helps me to understand who I am in Him, and that these things that I want to achieve, that I can do, that I can conquer with Him. With Him living inside of me. And
Mm-hmm.
so my faith, it's, I don't want to lean to my own understanding, and I don't want to ever think that it's about that it's about my power. I do believe that I am strong and that God has put these characteristics in me, but there are some things that have happened in my life and I'm like, that was nothing but God.
Listen.
So I never want to get too wrapped up in my own abilities, and I just always try to give him the glory in everything that I do. And then secondly, besides my faith, I definitely would say that, being able to really focus and control my thoughts. And I'm not saying that it's always easy, but sometimes we can be our own worst enemy.
Yeah.
I know that there has been times where I've done things and maybe I made a mistake, or maybe I didn't perform as well as I wanted to, and the ability to overcome those types of obstacles and really speak life into yourself is, I mean, it's huge, because you could be your biggest advocate as well as your own worst enemy. And
Yeah.
I am the one person that I have to be with all the time. And
Yeah.
so I think that my relationship with myself and the words that I'm feeding myself are, that it's just really, really important, as I'm navigating my next step, as I'm navigating my now, as I'm trying to figure out what my, what the ultimate goal is and how I'm getting there, that the words that I tell myself, the encouragement that I'm giving myself, it's foundational as well. So I think it's about relationship then, right? My relationship with God
And
and then with
yourself.
myself.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a wonderful tool. I think we downplay our own voice within ourself, and how that really is integral in the process, because that's not something that we teach necessarily in schools. I mean, now they're trying to touch on social emotional learning, but it's like, no, what are you really telling yourself? And then what did you hear from others that influence your own voice?
Oh
Because
my
that
God,
is
yes.
very detriment. It can be very detrimental to your own process and your own success, because we psych ourselves out all the time from our own success. And I
Absolutely.
think I think it's Marianne Williamson, but I've heard it. Nelson Mandela said the speech, excuse me, of our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate, but our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. And
Absolutely.
so if we just keep going in that and don't psych ourselves out, then I think we can achieve far greater than what we ever thought about. But it really is capturing those thoughts in your mind. That's a Bible verse too, but what I don't do well is quote the Bible, but I know it's in there. Y'all can look it up.
Yeah, as a man thinketh, so is he. I just don't know
Yeah,
where it
that
is.
one too.
It's in
Yes,
there.
it's in there. Go ahead, find it. Use that Bible app. You can search those words. You find it. So
It's in there.
it's in there. So what I want to go back a little further. Why did you become a Black attorney?
Well,
How did
so
that happen?
how that happen? Yeah, girl, good question. I'll be thinking that sometime too. Well, I always I remember being in college and always saying that I wanted to be an attorney. And honestly, this didn't even really come back to me until after I had passed the bar exam and after I started practicing.
Okay.
I remember being in college and kind of not being sure what I wanted to do with myself. And a lot of, my professors and other attorneys that I met, they just told me that I should explore the area of law. And I remember people often told me that, and I would repeat it because I didn't know what else to say. Like, I wasn't
Yeah.
sure. I will be completely honest. I was not sure about law school. I will tell you that I did not go to law school until 5 years after I graduated from law school. So I
From
was a
undergrad.
non-traditional, I mean, from undergrad. So I was,
Yeah.
and I remember often saying it, but still having this fear that, like, can I really do this? Because I don't really know, I don't really know anyone that I could like touch that has really done this and really achieve that level of success. And
Okay.
so what's so crazy is that, Dr. Gordon, recently I was like, when I moved, I was going through a bunch of boxes and stuff, and I found this booklet that I was featured in at my undergrad. It was Wittenberg University in Springfield, but I had been featured in this book because I received this scholarship. And in the book, I said, they asked me what I was going to do with, my bachelor's degree and how
Yeah.
the scholarship had helped me. And I
Mm-hmm.
told them back in 2005, when I was afraid and unsure of being a lawyer, I told them that I was going to be a lawyer and that I was going to work in advertising and marketing and branding.
Oh
I
wow, look
said
at the
that.
Lord.
I said that in '05, and I'm telling you that I was lying and that I was scared because I was unsure. And so when I found that book, I was like, whoa, like
Come on, that was prophetic. That's actually what it was. You
I,
wasn't lying. You didn't hadn't already gotten to
I
that
didn't
part of your
know the
journey where it
power
was
of
your
my
full truth.
words.
That's it. That's
I
all.
didn't know the power of my words. And so, looking back at that, I'm like, oh my goodness, I really, and my grandmother said it too. My grandmother didn't get a chance to see me be a lawyer, but I remember her always telling people that I was going to be a lawyer. One of my friends from, not friend, but an acquaintance from middle school, she found me on Facebook. We were talking and she was like, girl, did you become a lawyer yet? I was like, huh? She said, in school, you also talk about being a lawyer. I was like, I did. She said, yeah. Did you do it yet? I said,
Actually,
but I was my journey to being a lawyer was actually, like I said, non-traditional. So I took that 5 years off between undergrad and law school. And during that time, I worked in the state legislature. So I worked in the Ohio House of Representatives. I worked in the Senate, and then I worked at a courthouse in Cleveland, working for a judge. And
okay.
so those roles really exposed me to the lawmaking process. I was able to see how laws were made. I was able to be a part of the policy making process in terms of interviewing stakeholders, meeting with other legislators and constituents to hear concerns, actually being there and seeing how laws were made, and then transitioning over to work in the courts to really see how the laws were enforced, and that was, having that front seat view to those processes really
Yeah.
kind of let me know, like, this is really kind of tickling my fancy. I think I want to learn more. And so as I matriculated through law school, I actually worked at the courthouse. So I was at the
Okay.
courthouse from 9 to 5. And then at night, I was at school from 6 to 10. And so,
Oh, okay.
so I had a unique learning experience in that, I was in the classroom and I would be able to go to work and be surrounded by lawyers, be able to ask questions, and even sometimes see the very concepts that I was learning,
That's
in
awesome.
action in the courtroom. So I definitely, well, I wouldn't recommend that others, go to school go to school at night and work during the day, because that was
Six to
that 4
10.
years was
Yeah.
that 4 years was
It
hell.
was a lot.
But it definitely, during that 4 year period, I really showed myself what I was made of. And I didn't give up. So yeah, it's a unique journey, but I'm definitely grateful for it.
That's awesome. So you were an evening student all 4 years.
So
Wow.
I was an evening student for the first 3 years, right?
Okay.
And then during my last year, I grew frustrated because I wasn't able to really compete with the people in my cohort, because they were able to get internships and externships and really get that hands-on experience. And what I ended up doing was I quit that 9 to 5. I was making like 65K at that point. I quit that job to take on two internships. I actually started to work with the Greater Cleveland Regional Transit Authority
Okay.
and the legal department at Cleveland State University. And it was while it was definitely a sacrifice financially, in my last year, I was able to be to finish my classes out, but also get that work experience,
Okay.
and ultimately be able to get that experience that I thought I was missing out on just by having that 9 to 5.
Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I'm glad you were able to chart your own path and make those adjustments and transitions when you felt it was necessary. And now
absolutely.
you're a successful black woman attorney. Let's add that.
Yes,
'Cause
ma'am. Less than
um
2%.
I have so the next question for me is what does a typical day look like for you as a black lawyer?
Oof. I mean, it definitely varies. So I will say this, I run a virtual firm.
Okay.
So I have, the paralegal that I work with, the assistant that I work with, everybody is virtual. In the age of COVID, we found that, working and being remote is not necessarily a bad thing. It cuts back on overhead. And sometimes people are able to perform a little better just because they're kind of in their
Their
comfort
own
zone.
environment.
And
Yeah.
so I run a virtual firm. So, no day really looks the same. I will say that I recently came off of maternity leave as well. So I would say prior to maternity leave, my days were, again, was all different. Some days I have to go into the office to meet with clients. Some days I have to go to court. And recently the court has transitioned over to giving attorneys options to have virtual court.
Oh, awesome.
So I've held hearings and things of that nature right through Zoom and haven't had to leave the comfort of my home. And so it's all a very carefully crafted approach, because on certain days like Thursdays and Fridays, I try to keep my schedule to where I can be heads down and be doing research and writing and filing trademarks and really getting like the busy work done.
Mm-hmm.
I try to leave court dates for like Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and then only have certain windows to actually meet with clients. So based on everyone else's needs and schedules, those types of that could change and vary. Now that I'm a mom, it's completely changed. I typically only leave the house to I have an in-home office, but
Mm-hmm.
I typically only leave to go to court or to meet with clients twice a week. And
Okay.
those other days I'm here with Zoom meetings, on the phone, maybe going to the coffee shop, just to have a change of scenery.
Yeah.
But I'll be candid. There's no day that looks the same in my world. Next week, I'll be working completely or the rest of the week, I'll be working completely from Atlanta,
Oh, wow.
um, because I have a business law conference there, and
Okay.
then the kids have a basketball tournament, so we're all picking up, and I'm going to be working in Atlanta for the rest
Oh,
of the week.
wow.
So again, with entrepreneurship and being able to make my own schedule and chart my own course, that leaves me that freedom to be able to say when I do it and where I do it from.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And beautiful. I'm trying to build my life like that. It's cool to hear how you break your schedule up. I kind of do that a little bit because I realize for me, in terms of success, I do good with those days where I can do that deep work. Like, let me get a
Yeah.
day where I can just focus and not have to focus. Oh, I got a meeting. Let me come over here. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's awesome. So, what for you? How does being Black influence your work, your journey? How does that, you being Black, how does that influence your work and journey?
Oh, it's a huge part of it. I mean, you know, there aren't many Black attorneys. I remember reading a stat that said that only 2% of attorneys are Black women,
Yeah.
right? And so with this, with this profession, in my opinion, it comes with, they say to whom much is given, much is required.
Mm-hmm.
And over this journey, I have been given so much by way of relationships, by way of people, believing in me and maybe investing in me through time or referrals or new connections, and just by giving me a vote of confidence. And so, and earlier when you asked me what I do, I talked about how I unapologetically want to focus on building Black businesses. And so, being Black is my inherent part of my inherent identity. I did not choose to be Black. This is who I am. I chose to be a lawyer.
Yeah.
I am a Black woman unequivocally, and this is who I am. I chose to do the work to be a lawyer. And because of who I am and what it means to be Black in America, and what it means to be a lawyer in America, understanding that we do have a special skill set, that we are able to help people in ways that others can't, as it pertains to navigating their conflicts and understanding, contract or archaic language, or helping people to really, just kind of sort through their problems and
Yeah.
find those answers. I think that being a Black lawyer in America is actually being redefined, even now, as we're looking at the plight of being Black in America in terms of civil rights and trying to grow our communities. And I think that you know being Black now is not what it used to be. I think
Mm.
I think there was a time um where we kind of wanted to always like get in and prove ourselves and like,
Yeah.
hey, pick me, choose me.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
now it's like, hey, you're good. I'm going to chart my own course.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this, and I'm going to team up with my sister over here, my brother over here, because we're both brilliant. We both
Yeah.
have the tools to make this happen. And I'm no longer trying to get you to see my worth. I know what my worth is. I'm going to bet on me. I'm going to bet on Black.
Yeah. Come on, I'm a bet
So,
on Black. All
yeah,
right.
so I just feel like, being a Black attorney is it comes with that obligation to do something to better our community, to sharing information, to just giving that insight. We have been trained and taught to look at things completely different through a completely different lens. And
Yeah.
how dare I have this all of this knowledge, all of this insight, and not share it for the betterment of the community that raised me. And so
Mm.
yes, I don't know if that answered your question, but
Yes, I think you talked about the responsibility of being a Black attorney. So, and the responsibility of being Black alone, and then having the choice and doing the work to become an attorney. I think that is, you said that very beautifully. I've never really articulated that, but I do share that same responsibility. It's like I can't just come here and it just be me. I'm here with my community. I'm here because my ancestors went before me. Like this isn't just a me thing. And I think that is something that comes with being Black because of especially the territory that we've had in America and that journey. I think we have to be intentional about opening the door, about building and being intentional about sustaining our own, because often, that's been either stolen, taken, or both.
oh,
So
that's
what
good.
so
Yeah,
we have that responsibility. It's us. Who else is going to build it? Us.
absolutely. Be intentional about it. Yes, that's good. Should write that
So
down.
being intentional about that, I love it, which is one of the reasons why, like this podcast, I'm like, you know what? For me in this journey of becoming a lawyer, one, it did not happen how I thought it was going to happen, but most journeys probably do not. I got to the destination of this particular goal. However,
Exactly.
it's just, when I started talking and sharing with other people about how that journey happened, or what challenges did you have in your journey, people started sharing more, and I'm like, why can't I find this information anywhere else? Like, why is this not
Absolutely.
anywhere? So that's where this sparked from that idea. Like, we need to share our stories more. We need to build our own so that we can glean off each other's wisdom and our own challenges so that the journey is
I
easier for the
agree.
next. So,
I completely agree with that. I completely agree with that. What I'll tell you is based on what you just said, in terms of sharing your story and allowing other people to capitalize on your failures. I'll say this. So one big hurdle I had to overcome in this journey was, of course, the bar exam.
yeah.
And I was unsuccessful on my first try with the bar exam. And you know, having been successful academically for so many years, that was a tough blow, right? A tough blow
Yeah.
not passing the test that will ultimately allow me to practice and be a lawyer.
Mhm.
And so, admittedly, failing really made me depressed and made me sad, and it had me reevaluating God's promises to me. for so many years, like being an attorney has been kind of like my identity, you know, it's kind of like the thing that I leaned on. And I'm getting to a place where I don't want to lean, and I don't want to be only known as that. I just want to be a part of who I am. I'm so many other things than just an attorney. I'm a new mom. I'm a business owner. I'm a bonus mom. You know, I'm involved in my church. I'm a friend. You know, there's just so much that I do, and so I really focus on being well-rounded and making sure that I'm not one of those people who their career becomes their full identity, and
Yeah.
whether or not I was equipped. Once I stopped feeling sorry for myself and stopped being mad at God for letting me fail, you know, that fail, that terrible line of thinking. I found people who said, "Hey, don't be sad. I failed too." And I'm like, "Why is not why nobody talking about this?
Right.
Like, this
Yeah.
is crazy." I had so many people coming out of the woodwork who you know, who had met the same feat and were well willing to have the conversation with me, but they were kind of secretive about it. And I was
Yeah.
like, you know, there has to be some type of way for us to create like a platform or just create circles or something for us to be able to say, hey, if this happens to you, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. Here's what I did um
Overcome.
to change it. And so
Yeah.
there was this one young lady, her name is Royce. I love her so much. And I'm actually going to see her when I go to Atlanta this weekend. But I call her my bar angel because when she found out that I had failed the bar, she did not know me from Adam. She actually saw me. I was one of the students at the professional development academy, and she was like one of the facilitators, but we weren't like friends or anything. When she found out, she made herself available to me. She shared her study materials with me. I
So
remember one
awesome.
day she saw I was stressed out. She took me to get a pedicure, and she really
Oh.
like prayed with me and poured into me. And I remember she told me, "Hey, you know, was always just showing my gratefulness and appreciation to her." And she said, the way you can thank me is for you to help somebody else, because there's going to be somebody
Mhm.
else that's going to need your story.
Yeah.
And she was so right. And you know, based on that, I've done several talks, and I even wrote an article about the disparity in bar exam passage rates between you know, amongst
Yes.
Black bar takers, and kind of some of the issues that we face when taking standardized tests. And myself and another colleague, we've done talks at conferences and at law schools
I've been
about
in one.
really.
Yes, I've been in one.
Oh,
That's yeah, I think that was my initial introduction to you. You Delonte, what's his
yeah, Delonte.
Yes, I was in
Yeah,
that one. And it was so I yeah, so your story helped me before the bar for sure because I was not you know, you don't hear it's the standard is you pass the bar, like you pass the bar, that's the golden standard, you pass the bar, but no one says they took the bar 3 times and then they passed it and they've been
yeah,
practicing for 15 years. No one says
right,
that.
right.
So but hearing your story, your journey, how you studied, I used those tools to look at how I was going to study for the bar.
Look at
So
God.
yeah, so you did what you were told to do. You did it and it helped your story. Thank you for sharing your story.
You are so welcome, Dr. Gordon.
I
Yeah,
appreciate
that's
that's awesome.
definitely, yeah, that's definitely one thing that I've always like just been committed to is, I think that, you know, just sharing our testimonies and not being willing to be vulnerable about our failures.
Mhm.
Find one millionaire, find one successful person who hasn't had to overcome a failure.
Yeah,
So instead of
probably won't.
the shame, I want to embrace the gift of my failures and sharing it with somebody else.
The gift of getting up. That's what we're gonna call it. The gift of getting
The
up.
gift of getting up.
Because the journey is it's going to be a journey. You likely will have some things that you either, you know, did not desire for it to happen or that, you know, were far greater than any of your desires. But it's really about the journey. And if you decide to fall or if you have fallen, it's about getting up. Because at the end of the
Yeah,
day, if you stop when you're on the ground, that's all we got. But if you
Exactly.
decide to get up and continue to go for your goal, I am sure that you are reaching it. So it is, instead of the shame and the guilt, it is the gift of getting up. So
Yes,
yes.
Ashe. Yes,
But
ma'am.
okay. So one fun question as
Okay.
we wrap up, what is the title to your album cover that explains your Driven While Black story?
She wins.
Come on, she wins. I like it. So what type of
Wins.
okay, sub question. That was supposed to be last question. However, what type of what type of genre? R&B, rap, country, soul. What we got? What type of genre?
It's R&B and gospel.
Okay, R&B and gospel.
Yes, ma'am.
She wins.
She
All right.
wins.
I love it.
Yes,
Well,
ma'am.
thank you so much for joining us on the Driven While Black podcast. I wish you much success the next time that we may come together on the screen. I pray that we're both millionaires. I'm just going to speak that.
Listen,
For
I
us.
receive it and I speak that over your life too. And I thank you for having me on your show. Kudos to you. I'm speaking blessings and prosperity over you and your podcast. I believe that you will be a millionaire, that you will reach all of your goals. And then we're talking about this. We're doing the podcast now, but it's going to be on a grander stage in a couple of years. So
yes, thank you.
I'll see you at the top, sis, and at church.
Yes. Thanks to you. It'll be a conference next. Everything that we talked about, we'll be able to do. And then
yes.
Well, there'll be more than less than 5% of lawyers that are Black. So
exactly.
Yes. Well, enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you so much.
You too, girly. Take care, and I'll see you soon.